Hello all, welcome to the next video of Computer Systems and Organization. In the last video, we learned about the basic architecture of computers. In this video also, I am giving a little bit elaborate discussion on the input devices and output devices. So input devices are those devices which helps to enter the data into the computer system, as well as uh, there are the questions that can come for the exams at this point of this topic is they'll give you the name of the device and they'll ask you to identify whether it is an input device or output device. See, on seeing keyboard, mouse, touch screen, barcode reader, etc., you'll be able to understand whether it is an input or output. But MICR, OMR, etc. can also be asked as the devices. So MICR is the device you can see in the middle. It is magnetic ink character recognition. So magnetic ink character recognition devices. This is also an input device. Similarly, OMR recognition, that is optical marking reading recognition. That is, you might have seen you are putting some bubbles on the paper and it will be given to the system to identify the answer. So that is also an input device. And the most common one is again mouse. There are two types of mouse, that is mechanical mouse, which operates upon pure mechanical working of the mechanical action of the ball inside the mouse, and the other two shown in the picture is optical mouse. With the help of some rays, infrared rays, it works, light, it works or identifies the locations. Then comes the scanner, which is the device that scans the images as images. So it takes a when we keep the paper on it, it take the photo or it scans it around and make the images. It converts into a digital image. Whatever object may be, it converts it into a digital image. Now coming to the joystick is an input device which is just look like a stick, and it is working like most commonly worked with the games. They are mostly used to control the video games. And this is a keyboard where most common it is a most common input device, and you should ask the students who are learning computer science or IP, you should be able to identify the different keys available in the keyboard. That is, there are some functional keys, numerical keys, arrows, enter keys, arrow keys, and control keys available. Now coming to the output device, I hope most of you have seen two devices shown in the picture, that is the printers and projectors. The middle one is known as the plotter. Plotter is also a device which is used to print something on the paper or any medium. Only the technology differs. And coming to the printer, even printers are the most common output devices than the monitors. They are of greater use for people. And there are different types of printers available. You should be aware of the various types. That is dot matrix printer. You might have seen the normal bill you get from some other places, or some maybe from margin free shops, or maybe from any textile shop or any business places. It will be, the printing quality will be very less, and it will be like the ink, the color of the ink will be very fade. See, all these types of printings comes from the dot matrix printer. The quality will not be good, but like the cost of printing is very less. And inkjet printers and laserjet printers, they print high quality printing, and all these classification is based on the way these printers work. And monitor is another primary output device where it look like a TV, and it's also known as visual display unit. You should be aware of the short forms available, because one question in the exam will come like they'll give you the short forms and they'll ask you to write the full forms. So CRT, LCD, LEDs, where it shows you the evolution of monitors. CRT stands for cathode ray tube, LCD for liquid crystal display, and LED for light emitting diodes. Next comes the primary memory, where it can be further divided into two parts, that is RAM and ROM. This is the two types of primary memory available, RAM and ROM. RAM stands for random access memory, and it is temporary. It's a volatile memory, which means that the contents are lost when the power is switched off. And in this memory we can write the data as well as we can read the data. Both action is possible in RAM. When coming to the ROM, it is only read only. You can just read the memory, read the contents what is written here. We cannot, the users cannot write anything on the RAM. When this chip is manufactured, some data will be put into that. Only that data will be read. Mostly it is used for booting instructions. Booting means to start the computer. The process of starting is known as booting. So most of the time this booting information is stored in the read-only memory, and it's a permanent memory and it's non-volatile, which means that if power is gone also the contents are not erased. Then comes to the secondary memory. Primary storage is not able to store the data permanently for future use. So we have some secondary storage where we keep all the data safe. It is hard drive, USB memory, floppy disk, CD, and zip disk. Zip disk and floppy disk are older type of storage devices with less memory, and the other three are the common memories used nowadays. Now coming to the memory units. Memory units means we have data. The data in the computer is stored as either 1 or 0. So 1 or 0 represents the bit, or it is known as binary digit. Okay, binary digit. And 1 bit stores either 0 or 1. So you can consider it like you have one space here which stores either 1 or it can store 0. So similarly, if I have 8 bits like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So all these together I can call it as a byte. Always the memory I will refer as bytes. Okay, this 8 bits constitute a byte, and this 1 byte in the memory is having a address also. For example, now I am giving the address as 1000. A number will be associated to that these 8 bits, and 8 bits together we call it as 1 byte, and it is also a memory location. We refer to as a memory location. These 8 bits together refers to a memory location. The numbers are stored in this memory. So 1 byte constitutes to 8 bits, and 1 nibble is 4 bits. And you can see normally kilo stands for 1000, right? Here in computers 1 kilo refers to 1024, not just 1000, it is 1024. It is on the base 2 raised to 10. So 2 raised to 10 byte constitutes 1 KB or 1 kilobyte. 1 kilobyte. And again the numbers differs, this units differs, you can see and learn it, because here one problematic questions will come for exam. That is, they will be giving you one number, they will tell you for convert 10 TB into for example kilobytes. Then what have to do? How will you convert 10 TB into kilobytes? What you have to do is, where is 1 terabyte? This is 1024 GB, right? So terabyte means you have to convert it into terabytes, right? 1 TB. So it is equivalent to 1025 GB. So again GB is again converted to MBs. MBs when it comes to again 1024 MB. So again 1 MB is equal to how many kilobyte? 1024 kilobytes. So this is 1 TB is equivalent to the result of these values, that is 1024 into 1024 into 1024 kilobytes. So this is how the conversion takes place. So the problem may come in this section for the conversion from one unit to another. Thank you.